Today, the art market functions much like a stock exchange. It is a striking intersection of cultural heritage, a passion for collecting, and astronomical financial power. Some paintings are no longer just works of art. They have become investment vehicles, reaching the highest values in history. With the most up-to-date data of 2026, we're examining the world's 10 most expensive artworks and the stories behind their fortune-shaping legacies.
Gustav Klimt, Wasserschlangen 2.
We are taking a closer look at one of the most mesmerizing and controversial works in the art world, Gustav Klimt's Water Serpents II, or Water Serpents II. Completed between 1904 and 1907, this masterpiece radiates the signature aesthetic of Klimt, the genius of Art Nouveau and the Vienna Secession movement. Measuring approximately 176 by 110 centimeters, this massive oil painting strikes a perfect balance between the fluidity of the female form and the mysterious, erotic nature of water. Klimt depicts his female figures drifting through water in a dreamlike state, suspended between sleep and consciousness. The surrounding floral motifs, organic patterns, and symbolic colors elevate this feminine energy beyond the mundane into a mystical realm. But what drives this painting to a staggering value of $183.8 million? First, it's about extreme rarity. Large format works by Klimt almost never enter the private market. Most are held in permanent museum collections. Second is the artistic depth. Water Serpents II is regarded as one of the most lyrical and symbolic works from the artist's mature period. However, what truly pushed this painting into global headlines was its 2013 sale to Russian billionaire Dmitry Rybolovlev via art dealer Yves Bouvier. This transaction sparked the infamous Bouvier-Rybolovlev legal battle, one of the biggest scandals in art history. The media frenzy surrounding the case amplified the painting's commercial allure alongside its artistic significance. Today, a Klimt is more than just a painting. It is a global icon of cultural prestige, a true trophy asset. Mark Rothko, number 6, Violet, Green, and Red. Our next stop brings us to a name that invites us into the silent yet profound world of color, Mark Rothko. His 1951 masterpiece, number 6, Violet, Green, and Red, is considered one of the most spiritual and meditative examples of modern art. Rothko was a leading figure of Abstract Expressionism in post-World War II New York. However, unlike his contemporaries who splashed paint energetically, he sought the mystical effect of large blocks of color. In this style, known as color field painting, tones of violet, green, and red appear not as sharp lines, but as floating, permeating layers. Rothko designed these massive canvases to envelop the viewer, inviting them into a form of visual meditation. In his own words, his goal was to express the tragic and the timeless. But why do these 3 blocks of color command a price of $186 million? First, Rothko is the absolute pioneer and master of this movement. His place in art history is monumental. Second, due to the artist's untimely death, very few masterpieces of this caliber remain on the market, making number 6 an incredibly rare treasure. The philosophical and psychological depth of the work makes it more than just a painting for collectors. It is an experience. And of course, behind this astronomical price is a familiar name, Russian oligarch Dmitry Rybolovlev. This record-breaking 2014 sale later became a focal point of the infamous Bouvier-Rybolovlev fraud case that rocked the art world. This scandal added a historical and dramatic dimension to the painting's artistic value, pushing its prestige to an untouchable level. Andy Warhol, shot sage blue Maryland. Our next masterpiece is proof that art is not just art, but a massive force of advertising and iconography. Andy Warhol and his immortal shot sage blue Maryland. Created in 1964, shortly after Marilyn Monroe's tragic death, this painting is the ultimate peak of the pop art movement. Warhol depicted Marilyn not just as an actress, but as a modern-day goddess worshipped by a consumerist society. On this 40-inch square canvas, the golden hair, pink skin, and sage blue background merge through the silkscreen technique, transforming Marilyn from a person into an eternal ghost and a product. But what drives this painting to a staggering $195 million, earning it the title of the most expensive 20th century artwork ever sold at auction? First, pay attention to the word shot in the title. It's no coincidence. In 1964, performance artist Dorothy Podber walked into Warhol's studio and fired a pistol at the paintings in this series. Those bullet marks and the event itself turned the series into a mythological legend. Warhol's Marilyn unites the most recognizable face of the 20th century with its most influential artist. Acquired in 2022 by the world-renowned gallerist Larry Gagosian, this work sits at the very top of blue-chip investments, those trophy pieces that are guaranteed to hold their value. The ironic tension between the vibrant colors and the cold reality of death makes this more than just a portrait. It is the most expensive mirror of the modern world. Rembrandt, the Standard-Bearer. Now we journey into the dusty yet magnificent pages of history with the master of light and shadow, Rembrandt. Before us stands a heroic icon from 1636, the Standard-Bearer. This grand oil-on-canvas masterpiece is a pinnacle of the Dutch Baroque. Rembrandt isn't just painting a soldier here, he is crafting an icon of confidence, a man bearing the weight and pride of a national banner. The model's stoic, slightly superior gaze, the contrast between shimmering metallic surfaces and soft fabric textures, and Rembrandt's signature dramatic lighting transform this warrior into a nearly mythological figure. This is where Rembrandt's early period theatricality truly comes to life. But what drives this painting to a value of approximately $198 million? The answer lies in the painting's prestigious journey. For centuries, this work was hidden away like a secret treasure within the private collection of the legendary Rothschild family. It was, quite literally, the last great Rembrandt masterpiece remaining in private hands. However, in 2022, the Dutch government decided it was time for this piece of national heritage to come home. A massive acquisition fund was raised, and the painting was purchased from France to be placed in the Rijksmuseum collection. With its immense historical significance, its flawless provenance from the Rothschilds, and its ultra-rare status, this Standard-Bearer is more than just a portrait of a soldier. It is a symbol of Dutch national pride and the unyielding power of the global art market. Jackson Pollock, number 17A. Welcome to one of the most radical turning points in art history, the chaotic yet mesmerizing world of Jackson Pollock. Before us is the 1948 masterpiece, number 17A. This painting isn't just a work of art, it's evidence of an action that changed the way we define painting forever. In this work, Pollock cast aside the traditional easel and laid his canvas on the floor. Instead of touching the brush to the surface, he moved around the canvas like a dancer, dripping, splashing, and hurling paint. Through this method, known as action painting or the drip technique, Pollock essentially poured the chaos of the unconscious onto the canvas. Number 17A is an endless labyrinth of interlocking yellow, blue, black, and white. There is no fixed focal point. Every time you look, you capture a different rhythm, a different energy. But how do these paint splashes reach a staggering value of $200 million? The answer lies in the revolution this work represents. Pollock is the undisputed leader of the Abstract Expressionist movement that catapulted American art onto the global stage. Number 17A belongs to his most iconic period, the same era that led Life magazine to ask in 1949 if he was the greatest living painter in the U.S. Pollock's untimely and tragic death turned these large-scale drip paintings into ultra-rare treasures on the market. Purchased in 2015 by American billionaire Kenneth C. Griffin for $200 million, this work represents the price of the courage to push the boundaries of modern art. For Pollock, painting was not an object, but an experience. And today, that experience stands as one of the most expensive investments in history.
Paul Gauguin, Nafea fa'a ipohipo. When will you marry?
Now we turn our gaze toward the depths of the Pacific, following a painter's quest for a lost paradise. This is Paul Gauguin and his 1892 masterpiece, Nafea fa'a ipohipo, which translates to, "When will you marry?" When Gauguin fled the industrial modernity of Europe to settle in Tahiti, he captured the pure, primitive life he was seeking on this very canvas. In this 40-inch oil painting, we see two young women amidst the vibrant, saturated colors that represent the Tahitian sun. One sits in a traditional pose, while the other stands with a more modern gesture. Gauguin isn't just painting two figures here, he is depicting the tension between tradition and modernity, innocence and societal expectations. The famous question in the title reflects his deep curiosity about gender roles and local culture on the island. But how did this exotic painting come to hold one of the highest price tags in art history? First and foremost, this work is a definitive masterpiece from Gauguin's Tahitian period, the absolute peak of his career. Its profound influence on the fathers of modern art like Picasso and Matisse elevates it to the status of an art historical icon. Having been tucked away in a private collection for decades, its appearance on the market was an incredibly rare event. In 2015, that silence was broken when the Qatar Royal Family acquired the piece for a staggering reported price of approximately $300 million. At the time, it set the record for the most expensive artwork ever sold. Today, this painting is more than just a post-impressionist work. It is a global symbol of power and prestige, a true trophy asset.
Gustav Klimt, Portrait of Elizabeth Lederer, Bildnis Elizabeth Lederer. We are witnessing the freshest and most shocking record in the art market, a work of mesmerizing elegance by Gustav Klimt, the Portrait of Elizabeth Lederer. Completed between 1914 and 1916, this masterpiece represents the pinnacle of Klimt's more abstract, decorative, and mature style following his famous Golden Phase. In this nearly life-sized 71-inch portrait, we see Elizabeth Lederer, the daughter of a wealthy industrialist family. Standing regally in a white dress and lace shawl, she is surrounded by mysterious motifs reflecting Klimt's passion for East Asian art. This painting is more than just a portrait. From the intricate lace of the shawl to the carpet patterns on the floor, every inch is an exploration of identity, status, and modernity. But what is the force that drove this painting to become one of the most expensive pieces in history, reaching a price of $236.4 million? First, large-scale, full-figure portraits by Klimt are exceedingly rare on the market. This is in every sense a museum-quality piece. Second is the historical tragedy it carries. The painting has been at the center of Nazi-era art looting and years of restitution debates, giving it the quality of a priceless historical document. In November 2025, at a historic Sotheby's New York auction, it sold for a staggering $236.4 million, securing its place at the top of modern art history. Having been hidden in private collections for decades, this masterpiece shook the world the moment it reappeared, standing today as the ultimate symbol of wealth and prestige in the global art scene.
Paul Cézanne, the Card Players. We are looking at what is often called the birth certificate of modern painting, Paul Cézanne's immortal series, The Card Players. Created in the early 1890s, this series consists of 5 versions showing provincial peasants engaged in a game of cards. However, this particular version is the most minimalist and powerful of them all. Here, Cézanne isn't just painting 2 men, he is capturing the hidden geometry behind forms and figures. The weight of the fabric, the unshakable stability of the table, and the balance anchored by the central bottle, every brushstroke is placed with an architectural precision that laid the groundwork for 20th century revolutions like Cubism. The deep concentration on the players' faces elevates a mundane moment into a universal tale of patience and strategy. But what drove this silent scene of peasants to a record-breaking value of $250 million? First, it is Cézanne's absolute authority over modern art. Even Picasso referred to him as the father of us all. Second is the series' incredible rarity. Of the 5 paintings in existence, 4 are the crown jewels of major institutions like the Musée d'Orsay and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. This was the only version remaining in private hands, making its sale the event of the century. Acquired by the Qatar Royal Family in 2011 for approximately $250 million, it became the most expensive art sale in history at that time. To own this painting is to own the foundation of modern thought, the very revolution that fundamentally changed the language of visual art.
Willem de Kooning, Interchange. We are now looking at a literal explosion of energy on canvas. Willem de Kooning's 1955 masterpiece, Interchange. This work is far more than just oil on canvas. It is one of the most powerful and dynamic moments of the abstract expressionist movement. In this painting, de Kooning used his brush like a weapon, pushing, pulling, and scraping layers of paint onto the surface. The chaotic collision of yellows, oranges, and pinks against deep blacks and whites is his way of capturing the urban frenzy and speed of New York City. While Jackson Pollock dripped his paint, de Kooning kneaded it with physical force, giving the work an almost 3-dimensional texture. While some perceive a seated female figure in the central pink mass, the painting is ultimately a manifesto of pure energy. But what is the secret behind this painting's staggering $300 million value? First is its critical place in de Kooning's career. Interchange marks the brilliant stylistic transition from his famous Woman series to his fully abstract landscapes. Second, a de Kooning masterpiece of this scale and quality appearing on the private market is an incredibly rare event. It is a museum-quality treasure through and through. Purchased in 2015 by billionaire Kenneth C. Griffin for $300 million, this painting held the title of the most expensive painting in the world until the sale of Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi. Today, Interchange stands as one of the ultimate financial and artistic peaks of modern art. Leonardo da Vinci, Salvatore Mundi.
Get ready, because we are looking at the greatest lost and found story in art history and the legendary piece that shattered every record, Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi, or Savior of the World. Painted around 1500, this work depicts Christ blessing the world with one hand while holding a crystal orb representing the cosmos in the other. But the story of this painting is even more dramatic than the image itself. Long thought to be lost or merely a copy by one of Leonardo's pupils, this panel was sold in 2005 for just $1,175. After years of heavy restoration and research, it was authenticated as an original Leonardo in 2011, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the global art community. In the painting, we see Leonardo's signature sfumato technique, those smoky, soft transitions in the mysterious gaze of Christ. The intricate details within the crystal orb reflect Leonardo's dual genius as both an artist and a scientist studying optics. While some critics still debate its authenticity, the Mona Lisa-like internal power and spirituality of the work remain undeniable. But what drives a single painting to an unbelievable price of $450.3 million? First is the name Leonardo da Vinci. There are fewer than 20 known paintings by his hand in existence, and almost all are in museums. For a Leonardo to appear on the private market is a once-in-a-century opportunity. Second is the incredible saga of its rediscovery and the shroud of mystery that surrounds it. Sold at Christie's in 2017 to a Saudi prince, Salvator Mundi became the most expensive artwork ever sold in history. Today, this painting is more than just a Renaissance masterpiece. It is the ultimate symbol of rarity, mystery, and limitless wealth in the art world.